So on September 30th, she released a new video and a music video on her channel being Sucker for Green. The song is about money, and around the same time the video was actually posted, she started a live stream on Instagram to talk about everything that happened in the past and in the past 5 years, why she went off the grid, and about her father. Okay, so it looks like this is the start of Lil Tay's return back to the social media game. The live stream starts off with her showing off her music skill by using instruments to show off the kind of skills she learned in the past 5 years, being on the guitar, electric guitar, and showing piano skills in another video. And then she goes back to her roots, being that she's clowning on people, saying that it's been 5 years and y'all still broke. And then it actually gets serious.
You already know what the fuck going on, bitch! Lil Tay's back, it's been 5 years and y'all still broke!
Also, I made a video about the Lil Tay death stuff, and I brought up a lot of info that happened in the past, including abuse allegations, the GoFundMe, and the stuff about the lawyers from her Instagram. The first thing she starts to talk about is where she's been, and her first words are just bashing her father, her absentee father, who only came back to start a court case against her to have control over her money. And he was actually able to gain control because when the whole court case started, she had to go back to Vancouver, where he used her money to buy vacations and designer clothing for themselves, leaving her with nothing. I also think he bought a boat using her money. And since he's her parent slash guardian, he was signing deals and pocketing the money. Another reason why he started the case was to stop her from talking about anything in public, which is one of the reasons why we haven't heard from her for the past 5 years. And now it seems like the court case is done because she's talking about it. So the live lasted about half an hour and we'll be talking about it. The reason why it's a half an hour is because she wanted to summarize the whole thing, meaning that if she went into detail about everything on that live could have been close to like an hour to 2. First topic she starts about is Chris Hope's inappropriate sexual behavior. So this happened before Lil Tay became Lil Tay. So I think this is how their custody arrangement was. It was 50-50 until she was between 5 to 7. He left. He wasn't part of her life. I think 2 to 3 years before she became Lil Tay. After she became Lil Tay, he wanted to be a part of her life. But before that, Chris, her father, was hooking up with women in front of her as a child in the same bed, which was talked about in the GoFundMe from the last video about Lil Tay. If you don't know anything about the GoFundMe, it was made by Lil Tay's half-brother, Jason, on her mom's side, basically asking for money for lawyers in order to save Lil Tay from the alleged abusive father. One of the stories that she brought up about hooking up in the same bed was Tay's father, Chris, at the time was hooking up with his secretary. She got woken up by it because a secretary grabbed her leg. I think she was around 5 years old at the time. And she didn't know what they were doing because, well, she was 5 years old. She told her mother, I think the mother brought it up in court, and Tay's father got reprimanded a little bit. Craigslist had a thing a while ago to actually like hook up, and her dad had a profile for it. And then she talks about how her dad has an Asian fetish. Second part, Henny Hope, second abuser, which is the father's wife and Lil Tay's stepmother. Before she says anything, this is what I remember from the GoFundMe. So whenever Chris showed any acknowledgement that he had a daughter, Hanny would get so mad, she would start to abuse Lil Tay mentally and physically, which later Chris started to join in too. They didn't let her take a bath, so when she got sent back to her mom's, she would have cuts that were infected and bruised because it wasn't sanitized or cleaned. One of the worst cases about physical abuse was talked about in the GoFundMe, where they made Lil Tay go behind a door, strength, slammed the door into her toe, and I think that's the reason why her mom got custody. Now back to the video. So Chris met Hannah online when she was in the Philippines. Basically, Chris became a passport bro. Before the move to Canada, Hannah's job was basically a professional career scammer. She met Chris online, they made a bond, and she left the Philippines, also leaving the father of her son. So after the move, the norms in the house became her walking around naked and watching sexual movies in front of Tay when I think she was less than 7 years old. Next part, physical violence. So Tay talks about being shoved, pinched, and punched. And she even showed a picture of her with bruises on her face. That picture was also shown on her GoFundMe. And then later on, she showed the police report case, which is I think another reason why her mom got custody. And the abuse got so normal in her house that Haney's son also began to attack her. And Chris and Haney both encouraged him to attack Tay. Next part, forced to watch horror movies. This was talked about in the GoFundMe, but they forced her to watch scary movies and then threw her in a dark closet for hours on end. And then it got to the point where she would just get thrown into the closet. There would be times where she would be in the closet for so long that Haney's sister had to check if Lil Tay was fine. And how she forced Tay to watch a movie is that she held her in a chokehold and then tossed her in the closet. fed me rotten food. This part was also in the GoFundMe, and there's pictures where Chris would just send her to school with month-old pizza and rotting chicken with parasites. So Tay's mother saw that she was getting this packed for lunch because the teachers saw it and they're like, that can't be healthy. So Angela, Tay's mother, she started to just give Tay a lunch every day. Her father found out about it and told Angela that every time that she gave Tay a lunch, he would reduce the child support payments by $10 a lunch. No proper clothing. He would buy cheap clothing for Tay that was torn. He wouldn't buy her new clothing. And the clothing that she had at her mom's house, she was not allowed to wear it when she was at her dad's place. But he would happily spend money on Haney buying her designer bags. Child support payments. So this was on her Instagram around the time I made the Lil Tay death video. But by McLean law, Chris owes $275,000 in child support payments that he still hasn't paid off. Clearing rumors. There was a rumor that because of the social media stuff Lil Tay was posting, she got her own mother fired. But apparently she wasn't fired but resigned, and the company was still charging her fees. She sued the company and she won. Next rumor. Death and crypto coin. So she never had a manager, but the closest thing to a manager would probably be her half-brother. So Chris, being her parent, had access to the Instagram account and made that death post. And at the same time he made that death post, he also made or released the Lil Tay crypto coin to make money because of the death of her. But for some reason, people think that Lil Tay faked her death on her own and that it wasn't actually her father. Also, for some reason, people are more concerned about what she was wearing in the music video, but didn't even bat an eye when she was talking about all the abuse stuff and her getting her money stolen. And now that the court case is over, she's free to speak, which is why she released the video and everything. But in the process of the actual court stuff, her mom ended up spending her whole life savings to save her. So now since Lil Tay's free to do whatever she wants, and that she's probably in LA, she'll probably have like a whole list of actual influencers who actually want to collab with her, because that's how people are. She can probably charge these people like hella money, because I think she was doing the same like back when she was like 9 years old. So I feel like after a year of just doing the social media thing, she'll be able to help her mom get her life savings back. That's about it. If you like the video, sub. If you sub, you might get another video.